currently you are on Absalom Station.
Okay, so I'm a little familiar with the area.
Nice large station in orbit of the sun, and you would be currently, I would say, anybody could be around the arm, but you have been directed towards the arms of the station. It seems like your ship is ready.
Finally, a chance to get off this station.
And so am I here too, or am I waiting until they're all on their ship?
You would probably be on the station currently, and basically as people are gathering within the docking area and seeing their ships slowly pull in with strange, sleek design, almost cathedral-like, pulls into the station and docks with it.
Guess this is my ride, huh? And then I'll walk up to the ship.
The rest of you, while you're all standing around in the docking area, you see this, how do you pronounce it? Vulcan?
Vlakin.
Vulcan. You can see one of the Vulcan race. Sorry.
Blacken.
Blacken.
Yeah, I know it makes me want to say Vulcan every.
I know, me too. And you see one of them walking up. I can imagine Kuzon looking out the window at his ship, just amazed.
Well, there's been a thing where this is like a really big place. Kuzon's like never been in a place that are so populated with people that aren't his own. So I'd say like up to this point, he's been kind of just like hanging around Prava's legs, kind of like a child, like following around sheepishly. Like I don't know. There's a lot of people. Like he's like having the opposite of claustrophobia, where there's almost too much space. And then he just like he's like sheepish up until the point that he sees this beautiful machine, and he's just like, my sweet child.
It's just so beautiful. And given that you're so amazed, we're going to a lovely show-like animated cutscene where you get to introduce your characters now. And starting off with the bright-eyed Kuzon.
I'm gonna figure out, so like I guess like a third-person introduction.
Yeah, basically introduce your character to the group.
Hello, my name is Kuzon. I am a 3-foot tall little lizard man. One of my arms is severed at the stump, and I have a robot arm in its place. And you'll also notice that if you ever like take a peek like past his little like cloak that he's wearing, he has something of like a metal. It's almost described like the back of his head is made out of a dark, like painted metal. So like the back part of his skull is just like encased in steel, and there's like a few discrete wires and everything like that lead from the unit in the back of his head to his little metal arm to do whatever it is that he does. He's quite young looking. He's not if you're familiar with Ishketi, he's obviously like in his like very early 20s, and he spent most of this time kind of like wandering around the rooms of this station, kind of like rubbing his robot hand / claws together, just like in an uncomfortable motion, but kind of like hunched over, like he was trying to shrink with all the people standing around. He kind of like hovers between a robot and a bug man, because they seem to be the two people he's most familiar with, but sees this ship, his eyes light up like a child, and it's almost like he's forgotten his previous feelings, and he's like walked past everybody and is almost eager to like climb over and jump into it.
Who wishes to go next as you see little Kuzon dash?
I will, because that's very fitting. You see this tall, glistening bug man starting to dash towards the ship, basically before it comes down all the way. He's very eager to get off this station. He's got a small blue star floating around his head that kind of glints and reflects off his inky black carapace, and he's wearing a set of light white armor. You notice if you've been with him for a while, when he first got to the space station, he was all right. But in the last couple of days, he's been starting to get really stressed out. He's been picking at his hands and almost pulling at his own shell. He's very eager to get into space.
So he does not like the busy, almost planet-sized station then?
No, he seems like very agitated just at the amount of people around. The population is a little much for him. He's looking at the crowds, and when he gets frustrated, he stares off into space and looks at the stars instead.
Understood. And as you see the glistening bugman dash off, who wants to introduce themselves next?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you two are so
go
kind and loving. Aiden, you go next then.
It's my
Go.
proximity to the Canadian border.
Right. Aiden has been kind of off in his own little world. He's just been sitting on a bunch of crates that are waiting to be loaded into the ship's cargo. He's been on his phone talking with somebody, and after his conversation is over, he just reaches out for his pocket, takes out a cigar, lights it up, and just as he does, some of the dock workers begin yelling at him because they want to load up the crates, so he jumps off of them and starts walking towards the main entrance to the ship, where he spots you guys have began to gather. He smiles and heads towards you guys, says, "Hey, so this is the unfortunate band of misfits. Nice to meet you. Name's Aiden," and he offers a hand for the first one that's willing to shake.
Prava looks at his hand kind of sheepishly before offering a shaky hand out to him.
Don't know what you are, my friend, but looking forward to working with you. Speaking of which...
My name is Prava.
Prava. Nice. I'll remember that. Speaking of which, and he turns towards Thiveron, I couldn't help but notice they sent us a defective dog. Send them back. I'm just messing with you. I know you guys are born blind, and he slaps you on the shoulder.
Okay, so Thiveron, he looks mostly like his character picture does, except he's got some blue tufts of fur around his face that kind of look like a Celtic design tattoo. That's kind of a birthmark for him, and his eyes are closed. But has anybody raised like dogs or puppies before?
Yep.
Yes.
When they're first born and their eyes are basically shut. That's what his eyes look like, and he's it's probably hard to tell his age just by looking at him, but the youthful step has gone out of him. He's probably, I imagine he's probably in the middle of his middle age, and he's wearing this really kind of firefly-looking duster, and just this crazy weird mishmash of utility clothing and goggles that kind of hang around his neck. You were told that he's supposed to be a magic religious man, but he doesn't look like it at all. He extends a hand out to greet you all, and he says, I think there's 4 of you. It's nice to meet you all.
So, you're the last minute addition?
Yes.
Well, welcome aboard. Not that I've been on board yet, so I have no idea what to expect up there, but welcome anyway.
You sort of notice, like, as you walk up there, Thiveron, that, like, Kuzon has been kind of, like, he's been, like leaning one side, looking at you, leaning the other side. He's looking at you, like, scanning for something, and it's like, you got some kind of like sonar technology? You got any of those auditory imagery links? And I'm just like looking at him, like I don't want
I've never figured out how to work those things.
But
how do you see? How do you get around?
He just kind of like sniffs in the air, and he looks at Kuzon. You have a metal head.
yeah, protects the soft parts. Tonk, tonk.
I see well enough.
Prava leans like uncomfortably close with his giant yellow eyes and starts to like look him over really closely.
I just realized we're just two big eyes.
Thiveron says, "You're a friendly one, aren't you?"
I've never seen one of your kind before. What do you call yourselves?
We are Vlakans. We are a race from the vast. We don't travel much except when we are needed.
So what need brings you to Absalom?
I would rather not talk about that yet.
Very well, that's fair.
Well, the last time I met one of your kind, he was chasing me through a jungle, sniffing me out and stuff, so at least I can vouch that he knows his stuff when it comes to scent and hunting people. That's gonna be useful.
We make very good hunters.
This didn't really sound like a hunting job.
Well, that's the thing about
I was told
space.
that I was told that I would be providing the mystic sort of help.
Also, that's the thing about space. You don't know what to expect out there. It's good to, you know, be versed in many skills.
Kuzon just kind of like, it's just like he's like doing his hand in like a mocking motion, and it's like I brought Prava along because he talks good, and then the director said we needed more voodoo people, and you know, I rolled with it.
I don't think our engineer likes you.
Whatever the director says.
By the way, as you guys are talking, you hear a large. Excuse me.
No, Prava
Okay,
turns to face them.
I don't say anything, but I turn around.
You see, or otherwise smell, a rather large, rotund, four-armed alien just staring you down as he's pulling up his pants, and right next to him is a very tall crate. It's like, this is meant to go on your ship.
What's in the crate?
I'm gonna like Kuzon's not even gonna like ask. He's literally just gonna walk up and start eyeballing the crate. Like he's just like.
Yeah,
Prava's gonna step up to this guy and try to shake all four of his arms in turn.
Wait, do you have 4 arms? Do you have
he's
4
a little
arms?
weird, but he's enjoying the interaction. He's like, oh, okay.
No, hold on. Prava, do you have 4 arms?
No, Prava's doing this guy that we're talking to has 4 arms.
Yeah, I thought
he's just
because you
shaking
wanted
him
to
one
shake
at a
all his
time.
4
One
arms.
at a time. I'm like, this arm here, okay, and I'm gonna go get this one here, and I'm gonna get this one over here. Thank you for doing it.
Very friendly interaction. He seems to enjoy the interaction, as weird as it is. He's like, anyway, yeah, apparently, something about after refurbishment, and Kuzon, you would realize, oh, of course, it's your, you sent off your friend to get refurbished. He's currently in the crate.
Yeah. No, it's Kuzon will like he just like nods satisfied, and he'll just climb up and like sit on top of the crate and be like, yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, do you need me to bring it on, or are you guys okay carrying it on yourself?
I mean, he's approximately 800 pounds of titanium without his armor on, so
Prava looks around at everyone's arms and is like, we probably need help with this one.
I don't know, it
okay.
seems our chief engineer is pretty gung-ho about this. Maybe he's got this covered. I look at the small lizard on top of the crate.
I'm just gonna shoot him a dirty look and do like the throat cross symbol.
Okay, I guess our engineer doesn't like me either.
Maybe he doesn't like you just calling him engineer.
Then what the hell is he anyway?
What do you mean?
I'm a big deal.
Never seen anything like that before. What the hell are you supposed to be anyway?
Wait, hang on a minute. Out games Tim, you would have seen quite a lot of him.
Well, I've seen the big versions, not the small version.
Oh no, small versions are common on Akiton as well.
Oh, okay, never mind.
They're like basically
I thought,
the natives.
I thought that I've only seen the big ones in combat. I've never actually seen a small one. Never mind then, scratch that. I know what he is.
Yeah. I was going to say. Thiveron, you probably wouldn't have seen his race is rather pretty damn rare in the grand scheme of things.
Not many of them travel as well, so I guess we have that in common.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I'll just carry it on to ship then. It looks like it's docking, and he gets behind the crate and pulls down the handles, tipping the crate over. Kuzon, how about you make the first roll for me?
Oh, first row of the game.
What? I'm sitting on the box.
Yeah, roll me acrobatics to stay on the box. You cling to the box quite well. You are able to use your little climbing claws and just stay on as he tips it back over and starts to slowly move towards the docking ring.
And
The
just like as it's tumbling around, it's just like, hey, watch the merchandise.
You know, that would actually...
I know.
You know, that would actually be pretty cute if he didn't, threaten and give me a cutthroat sign.
Kuzon's a sweet little thing once you get to know him. Just takes some time.
If you say
And
so.
Thiveron's just kind of quietly enjoying this exchange.
Well, if
He's happy
space
that
travel's
this crew
anything
is
like
animated.
I've heard about, we'll have plenty of time to, get to know each other. I hear it's pretty boring up there.
Peaceful is the word I'd use.
Oh, could one of you sign this a second? He uses one of his other hands and tries to hand it towards Thiveron for a moment and goes, can you sign?
I'll handle this. I go towards him, I take out my personal company stamp, I stamp it, and then I sign it with my signature.
Ah, good, okay. Let's see. Right. And he puts it back away, like, he basically puts it in his pants, like, in the waistband. He doesn't have any pockets to put it in. And then he starts heading towards the ship.
Let me know if you need some other merchandise signed off on. It's great at tier cent when I have to pay taxes.
By the way, as you're walking through, the station is as alive as it always is. Races of different origins, of different places, even just ones that are just common to Abstom itself. There are people everywhere going back and forth, ships coming and going. The Great Armada is just lined up outside the station as you're walking past towards the ship that you built together.
You kind of get the feeling that Prava's really torn, because he clearly wants to jet and dip off into space, but he's also really curious about all the different kinds of people going around. Every time a new race walks by, you see him perk up.
What's up, Prava? You look like a tourist. Is this your first time on the station?
No, I'm from here, but it's been a few years. I haven't been here in quite a while. All these new faces, it's like a whole different station in just 2 years.
Where have you been living? Under a rock or something?
In a rock, yes.
Wait, what?
I have a small asteroid homestead, but Kuzon came here and shook me up and took me out of it.
Imagine our surprise pulling in a meteor into the corral, cracking it open, and seeing a big bug man. We thought he was gonna lay eggs in our stomachs.
Wait, how the hell did you survive in a rocket in the middle of nowhere anyway?
I met a guy, brought me supplies, helped me maintain a small life support system, but haven't seen him in quite a while, months even. I was gonna starve out there if Kuzon didn't show up.
Aiden just quietly puffs his cigar for a while, then looks towards Kuzon, then looks towards Prava. You boys are kind of out there, ain't ya?
Prava looks at the little star orbiting his head when he said that, and yep, definitely far out.
Thiveron is just still taking all this in, analyze.
I look towards Thiveron and go, while we're talking about all this weird stuff, you got anything else you want to share? Maybe, I don't know, you can lick yourself in interesting places or something?
Yeah, Thiveron laughs with you. That's a stereotype.
Yeah. Kuzon probably leans into Kuzon's like, this guy's kind of racist, isn't he?
Sorry, you can't say that.
Hey, I'm a mercenary in nature. I joke about all sorts of stuff, and I meet all sorts of people. Leave me alone.
It's fine. I can take a joke.
I mean,
Speaking of,
he's a strange creature himself. Look at his pale complexion. He has fur, but it's only on the top of his head. What kind of creature are you? I've never seen anything like you before.
I'll have you
Really?
know
No,
that
is
it takes a
wearing
lot of
clothes.
effort to maintain this perfect
I'm-
beard.
I'm talking about Aiden.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. It didn't seem
I was like, no, it's there.
yeah, I'll have you know, it takes a lot of effort to maintain this perfect beard, and he shows off his perfectly trimmed beard because I bought a case for trimming.
I understand. You don't know how much wax it takes to keep my shell this shiny.
You wax your shell?
You can see the star just glistening off his shell as he says that. It's like, zing.
Does that give you some kind of tactical
Smell
advantage?
wet.
It makes me feel good.
It's charming.
Well, I guess morale is a kind of advantage.
Well, everybody has their own grooming requirements, the carrier says.
Oh, you're still here. Thanks for all the help, our handy friend. Is there anything else you need?
The name's Trish, by the way. Just in case you wanted to call me anything else but multi-armed friend.
Sure, Trish. Thanks a lot. And then I whisper to the
mind
rest
him,
of the guys,
Trish.
isn't that a girl's name?
What do you mean? It's the name of my people.
No, I whispered it to the others. Isn't that a girl's
Oh.
name? Space is
I-
weird.
I have
I
heard
mean,
it
On my planet, Aiden
used
was
for
a girl.
both genders, but it changes from species to species.
Anyway,
50-50
thanks.
chance he should be really embarrassed.
Anyway, thanks for all the help.
Chance.
The Trish and I slapped him on the shoulder. Have a good day. You hear?
Well, of course, but
Looks like
you
he
wanted
has
me to.
business.
You said you wanted me to carry the box into the ship.
Oh, he's still not done with that. Huh. No tip
You
for
guys
him
haven't
then.
entered the ship yet.
I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. Anyway, Kuzon, can you lower the main ramp or something? Is that thing working yet?
All you have to do is press open the docking clamp, basically.
Yeah, I'll. Well, it goes like, well, the motor was on the fritz last week, but I think I got it. And I'll
Yeah,
press the button.
sorry about that. I didn't know that using my electric trimmer would do that to the motor. Honestly, I thought it would be a bit sturdier.
Wait, that was you?
I mean, what?
Just as you say that, the doors hiss open in front of you. And you see the interior of your ship.
All right, Prava clampers on excitedly. He starts to look around the ship and see what the amenities are like. And
The are we running? We're running with the assumption that like, because this ship is docked here, that
Mhm.
I was obviously like working on it, and Prava and the other one were helping me. But
It was basically,
we're saying that
in
like
a-
probably there are lots of other people that had their hands inside the ship as well, like helping.
yeah,
right?
it was in like a shipyard, just outside Absalom. Basically, it was all being put together and refined and stuff like that.
Kuzon is like scrutinizing it, like he's going around. Like you could tell by the way that he's like scanning across the walls and everything like that. He has a very critical look on his face. You can kind of tell like he's almost like he's trying to look for like imperfections in the walls.
Thiveron doesn't seem to be really excited necessarily about his surroundings. He's just kind of finding his way to his quarters so he can set up his living area.
Speaking of quarters, speaking of quarters, as you get into the quarters, with your blinders, even with your blinders, you can tell that these are rather nice quarters. The rest of the ship is maybe a bit bare, but these quarters are well done. They have proper drapes. You each have your own room. There's 2 communal bathrooms at the end, and there's like as you enter, there's even a little mint on your pillow.
Does that
Wow.
mint replenish like the fucking rockets every morning?
Thiveron, he's feeling a little nostalgic because there's only one other time in his life where he's been able to enjoy any sort of luxury, and that's quite a few years in the past.
Oh yes, this room even comes with its own little screen for watching your local television networks, depending on which part of the system you're in, of course.
Well, I mean, I guess I can listen to Trivid podcasts.
Exactly. That's probably your favorite thing to do. I mean, there's so many Trivid podcasts out there, given the billions of people, for whatever reasons.
He also just pulls his pack out and starts building this little mound of pillows, and he just kind of throws a sheet over it and puts this holy symbol on top of it. And then he pulls out this paper book and puts it in front of the holy symbol and begins to start writing things.
Of course.
I'll let you guys know, because I sent you all... it's not finished. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to completely finish it. But in the center of the ship, so like at the top, near the top of the ship, the image I sent you guys, those are the two loading docks that are parallel to each other. And then they lead in, and in the center of the ship is a giant energy core, as well as an engine. And to the right, or to the left of that engine core is our quarters. That area that's just to the immediate left, and then to the right is a set of quarters, but it's more like a locker room, or like they're like basically hammocks in a locker, and they house 8 people. So it's clear that based on which side of the ship you're sleeping on, it's like a whole other class.
So in other words, that was the guest quarters then, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, and then the setup is in that main room where the energy coil is installed. There's 2 parallel sets of elevators, and then those lead up, and that's where the main bridge is. I'll finish this up. I just kind of ran out of time between when I wanted to do it, but that's the basic layout that I have decided so far.
Gotcha.
Prava ignores the fancy bedrooms and goes and finds himself a shitty hammock somewhere.
So he doesn't sleep in his nice luxurious room. He's like, yes, what is that shitty hammock right over there? Perfect.
This is all I'll ever need.
This is not even a hammock, it's just a cargo net.
It's not even a proper hammock. It's just a piece of cloth.
It's like these really rough, uncomfortable looking ropes tied together, and he just fucking flops in with his carapace and doesn't feel a thing.
Kuzon's room, it's like he put it in the nice part of the ship, and his room is nice, but instead of having like a proper bed, he has this weird, it's almost like a sandbox. It's just hard to describe. It's like very soft, like plush, like sand and everything like that. And whenever he goes to sleep, he basically buries himself in it. Like that's how he prefers to sleep. In a hole that he makes.
So it's like everybody going to sleep. We're not even going to start the voyage. We're just gonna...
Everybody time to sleep.
Trish is like watching everybody just scatter around. It's like, well, I'll just leave it here. He just puts down the crate in the hallway.
Just
Thank
excited
you.
to see my new home.
Thank you, Trisha. And he's just like, I'll hand him a pebble, and just like, for your trouble.
He looks at it for a moment and goes, thank you. He like pats you on the head before moving towards the airlock again to get out.
What the fuck
However,
was
he
that
did leave a
pebble?
crate in the hallway.
I'll try to push it.
He also took the little loading thing with him, so you're gonna have to make an athletics check to move this.
Prava's going to assist.
As Kuzon is trying to push, I'm just gonna grab him from behind and pull him away from the crate and go, easy there, killer.
If you're gonna assist someone, you also have to make the check to see if you can actually assist them. Alright, so essentially, with Prava's help, you both had your hands on it, and you push, and all you see is it move like like almost a horrific as it moves a foot.
as they're pushing it, Kuzon just like I really. It was the more safe thing to do was to keep him disabled while we were surrounded by so many people.
Prava's arms are like shaking and quaking. This is way beyond his capabilities, but he's trying his damnedest.
No.
Aiden is just standing there, smoking quietly, and then he says, "You know, aren't these cargo bays equipped with, giant metallic hands for shipping crates and stuff? Aren't you the engineer? Can't you just bring one of the hands over?"
Well, I mean, I actually, depending on where we entered the ship, we either would have went directly into the loading dock, or we would have went into like the hallways behind, like, and around the power core. So it's like, I don't know if I have a mechanical loading arm that I could put in the middle of the ship.
You probably have one of those little loaders, where you slip it under the thing and then tip it backwards, just like what Trisha had.
Yeah, we'll just I'll just move, and I'll move him into. I won't put him into the loading bay. I'll move him into his designated room and just leave the box there for now. I'm gonna say that what Kuzon did was because we were surrounded by so many people and there's a possibility of getting in trouble, he chose to leave it disabled for now to prevent any possible trouble. He's waiting until we get into open space before he turns it back on.
Aiden looks a little worried about the man that's gonna handle everything on the ship now, but he puts out his cigar and heads for his room so he can unpack.
Okay, and as you're heading to your room, Thiveron comes out of his. He just looks like he's sniffing the air. He's trying to get acquainted with everything in the ship by smell. And he accidentally bumps into you as he's walking by you toward the cargo bay, where you can hear them struggling with the crate. He goes, "Oh, sorry."
Don't worry about it.
And he continues walking.
I'm gonna quickly set up. I need like 5 minutes. Aiden quickly just, since his sniper rifle is disassembled in a suitcase right now, he just stashes it under the desk. He then takes out his knife and places it underneath his pillow. The handgun he keeps on himself. And he puts his clothes quickly up in a rack in his little dresser. He then puts some of his daily necessities on the desk, and after that he heads out and heads towards the main cockpit.
By the way, Thiveron, you would have discovered something on your little trek around sniffing trek around the ship. As you were moving around, you would smell something almost akin to slightly burning metal.
Do you want me to take a perception check, or?
No, because since it's everywhere, I would say this is, even if you take a 10, you would have passed it. Because as you go up closer to one of the struts of a ship, you can still smell it so faint, but as you touch it, you can feel markings being on the strut of a ship, carvings. Ooh. In fact, as you walk around, this seems to be common throughout the ship. Like the main structural struts of the ship have these markings, and they're not new, but the smell of slightly singed metal still remains.
Do I know what language they're in by kind of feeling them like a?
No, you do not.
Let me check the language on my. Oh, yeah, never mind. I can only share language with living things.
Kuzon's gonna make his way up to the bridge, and you're just gonna hear him over the intercom. He's just gonna say "I'm running a few diagnostics, and then we'll be ready for takeoff. Make sure none of these mooks messed up my ship."
I love how confident he is in his own abilities.
Yes, he's a little powerhouse. He is.
Other people's.
As for symbols, though, sadly you do not know what language they're in.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Kuzon, you're the one just saying that you were running diagnostics and everything.
I'm up at the bridge, so basically you go to the middle of the ship, you see the power cord in the engine, and then if you climb up that elevator, it takes you right there where there's it's like a reasonably big room, big captain's chair, and all kinds of computer terminals and stuff like that, and like the front windows where you can see the nose of the ship as it peers off into, I don't know if the cargo doors are closed, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna come find you at the bridge, and Thiveron, he just walks slowly up to you, and he says, "Have you seen the markings around the hull of the ship?"
Kuzon's like looking at a screen and tapping on the keyboard while he goes, "Yeah, they interesting pieces. I made the decision to leave them on when we were resoldering the hull of this thing."
I don't mean to interrupt your findings on the ship, but would you happen to know what language they are in?
You're gonna see Kuzon, like he's like tapping, and he like pauses for a moment, and then he reaches into the back of his skull, like unplugs like a small wire, and then plugs it into his mechanical arm. And then he turns to look at you, and while he's looking at you, the arm is like working. It continues to work. It's still tapping on the keyboard and working autonomously while he like completely turns the rest of his body to you to look at you. And he's like, I'll be honest, no idea. He's like saying, like, it's a strange thing. I found the ship. It was embedded right into an asteroid. I don't know how it's in such good condition considering how buried it was wedged into the rock, but went through, checked out everything, and we have a special guest that was
I applaud your ability to salvage a ship that careened into an asteroid, but I feel like there might be a story here that might be useful.
He's just like looking at you, and it's like, I thought they looked cool, so I kept them. If you want to go, yeah, I'm sure.
I can appreciate aesthetics as well.
He seems like Kuzon's like listening to you, but it's you get the impression that like he hasn't really thought about the implications. He's just like, it's come stock. Like, why would I?
An ancient ship of unknown quality, markings adorn his hull. God, this is cool. I'm gonna keep these.
He's like, Kuzon's like gonna like looking at you, and it's like, I don't want to be rude. I'm not the superstitious type. We're here because the director said that it'd be a good idea, and and he like looks at you, and he his face doesn't betray that he was trying to be rude, but what he said is probably rude. He's like looking at you with a neutral expression as he says that, and his hand is like absently clacking the keyboard without looking at it.
Well, Thiveron's navigated more precarious social situations, and he just nods and walks away before like Thiveron thinks he's annoying you at this point, so he leaves to prevent damaging their relationship any further.
By the way, since Aiden is in the cockpit somewhere as well, he pipes up as well. Hey, Kuzon, so who's gonna be piloting this thing?
You know how to fly a ship?
Aiden looks confused. Wait, don't we have a pilot?
I mean, I could fly it, but I'm also the one that has to
"Don't look at me."
I'm just one guy. I can't be running through the steering controls and running to the engines and then running. It's too much.
Aiden looks towards the piloting seat and all the controls in front of it. He scratches his head and thinks for a while, and then shrugs his shoulders. How hard can it be?
I'll run you through a crash course if you haven't flown this ship before. You got to be careful. It's like when you're in atmosphere,
I press
it
random
goes a little
button.
hard on left.
You can just hear a clang off in the distance.
What did that button do? Kuzon, I think something
It's not marked.
broke.
Yeah, Kuzon, like none of the controls on the are like labeled on the flying. Like it seems like Kuzon's like sensibility is that there's a lot of buttons, and not a lot of them are labeled. He's just like, what? Can't you follow? Can't you just like read the manual or something? Do I gotta like? Do I have to color code these?
I press another
mark it all
button.
off with crayon.
You don't feel anything strange. Like nothing's gone off. Maybe the button does nothing.
I guess I'll figure it out as it goes.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And he just kind of like waves his hand dismissively as he turns back to the computer, and you just see like a bunch of like graphs and percentages and everything kind of like flowing across the screen as he's running through it.
I love the nonchalant attitude of a multi-million credit ship going, yeah, leave it in
I
the hands
mean,
of this
I've
dude.
driven a
Totally
stick
cool.
before. I'm sure it's pretty much the same thing.
And I'll go through everything. I'm imagining, if you can make me do a check or like do whatever it is, but I'm imagining as I finish up my diagnostics, I don't detect anything that sprouts up to me as a problem.
So what is Prava doing while everybody's prepping the ship for launch?
He's literally just going through every single room, looking around curiously, being like, I want to know every inch of my new home. So he's picking through the rooms, and he's probably just now getting up to the cockpit now.
The way that I imagine the crew's quarters, like our quarters, would have to be set up. This is obviously up to DM discretion or not, but I assume like a living quarters had to include a kitchen. So one of the rooms that's in here is the place for like preparing food. There's like, I imagine there was like 7 rooms, because it doesn't make sense to have a living quarters, but that doesn't include like a kitchen. But that's up to DM's discretion.
It does say it's included a mess. So it includes
Okay.
like a basic
Yeah.
facility.
So like in the on the left side of the ship, you see like all of our rooms. Not far from it includes a little like small little mess hall area. You go over to the other one, and it's like the other side of the ship is pretty much not stocked at all. Like there's not really any food or anything in the other side, because it looks like Kuzon doesn't anticipate extra guests right now.
So like, do we have like a microwave? Do we have like a stove? Do we have like a?
I'd say we have like the future fantasy equivalent, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we'd have everything we need to cook.
Okay, I'm gonna assume it's like the most basic kitchen anyone has ever seen, and Kuzon's coming up like, guys, have you seen our kitchen? It has everything.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
Kuzon's like not a chef, so if you ask him to like pick out kitchen appliances, it's like, this makes food hot.
1 second, let me get this. Okay, everything's ready. So, are you ready to take off?
Yep.
Never been more.
Thiveron takes his place at, I think the magic officer technically goes at the science officer station, or
Yeah,
never played
probably.
with one, but
Basically, probably there's an area set out for you to do your,
Yeah.
magical interfacing.
at that place where I'm supposed to be, that's where I'm at.
I'm trying to think of like what would if I had to make, what would the specifications be where it's like, this is where magic happens, and then Kuzon's like, I'll give him a chair.
I
Like,
mean,
I don't know what this means.
I don't know about you guys, but
Oh,
for me,
thank you.
the bedroom is where the magic happens. Ha 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 ha.
I've met practitioners.
But yeah, otherwise you would probably set up the empty science officer station, since I assume it's spacey. It has screens for checking systems and the like.
So what
I
are
guess
our
we'd have
sensors
to
like?
have-
Do we have like cameras on the other side of the ship? Can we see space?
Yes.
Prava goes and turns on like the big screen just to see out in the abyss. He just wants to see the stars and the.
So
and the...
does Prava make himself seated at the captain's chair? Is the big chair in the middle of the room?
He doesn't know it's the captain's chair. He just sees a big chair in the middle of the room and he sits on it.
Yeah, it's the biggest one. It's the biggest chair, but also it's perfect to see the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to imagine that like Kuzon like has like almost like a because he's small. He has like a small like a little seat that he sits on that like wheels back and forth, kind of like the steering wheel from WALL-E, where he like goes from one station, bloop, 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 then he goes to another station. Bloop, 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 bloop.
He better not be playing Space Invaders in there.
Thiveron just kind of sniffing around his console, trying to get a feel for it. Looks kind of like an excited wolf dog, just sniffing everything out of it.
Checking it out, touching it, like yes, yes. Ah.
And as we're getting ready to take off, I'll swivel next to Aiden in the controls here, and I'll be like, all right. So the engine here, it's we've had it completely refurbished, but you have to ease the throttle, and I'm just doing the motion of like revving up the engine with the lever.
Ease it in, gotcha. And I grab it and I yank it all the way.
Classic.
Just like his pupils go like shrink. It's just like just like no,
Do we just
28.
rip the maglocks off the station?
I just drift out of there.
Well, I would say that he actually managed to somehow disengage the mag locks and disengage the airlock before he drifted off. Because I'm pretty sure the station has countermeasures for people just driving away with part of their station.
Yeah.
So basically, he basically retro-fusts out of there, drifting out into space, and you get a small little comm message coming on thing. Basically, it's a pre-recorded message that says, you have violated station rules. This is your first strike. Please do not do so again." And below it says, "Unauthorized leaving, not adhering to traffic code."
Like halfway through its message, I've hit the mute button.
There we go. I was about to ask, thanks, Kuzon. See? I knew it. It's not that hard.
I can see
Captain,
traffic
I
laws.
believe we should be more cautious next time.
Let's be real. If Kuzon didn't hit the mute button, Aiden would have done it anyway.
Guys, I think we should be a little more careful about how we conduct ourselves.
Hey, go easy on me, man. This is my first time flying, alright? And I start doing loop-de-loops for asteroids.
Thiveron's ears just perk up at the first time flying comment. He doesn't say anything, but
Cold
he's
sweat.
definitely a little
He's like
cold pants.
Kuzon just like waves and it's like, it's a good thing I installed a navigation computer in this thing.
If you're gonna get us killed, at least do it out in space somewhere, alright?
What, you're
Or
looking
do
for
it
a new
cool.
home out there? A new asteroid you can, dig up in?
By the way, I would say that as you were pulling out, you do notice that the computer isn't actually on, since you didn't turn it on.
Oh, well, I assumed I had it on if I was running
Yeah,
diagnostics.
Well, not the actual ISM. Basically, the assistant's computer.
Oh, okay. I'll just like seeing how I'm navigating, I'll just like turn it on there. Just
Good evening. Welcome to the ship. Sadly, I do
Hi,
not
I'm
have the
Prava.
designated yet. Ah, I see. You will now be designated Captain Prava.
Cat? What's shouldn't we talk about this?
Well, you are sitting in the chair.
Kuzon just, like turns around, looks at him, and it's like, "Welcome to the team, Captain."
Please note, I do have several voice functions as well.
How's about something of the more feminine variety?
If you would like that. If you can navigate my extensive library of options.
If there's only one female option, there's 3,000 other that you have to.
Is there a Sean
Manually
Connery
set.
option?
Prava goes looking for a female Sheeran option.
There is a sheer female option, but it's in your language.
He clicks in.
You can hear suddenly the jarring voice, so he changes to almost soft chittering.
Yeah, it's a lot of chickering and clacking. Prava's like, yes.
Okay, that's enough out of that.
I'm just gonna give you like a blank, like slightly annoyed stare as I like flick the switch and put it back to what it was at.
It is a shame they did not like your choice, Captain.
That's alright. I'd like to lead this crew democratically anyway.
By the way, just so you know, I did have different voices for depending on what computer you picked. Since you picked the best first computer, he's very smug. Now, would you like assistance in flying around the system?
Well, first of all, now that we have our ship, shouldn't we contact the Benefactor? I definitely want to thank him for the work he put in for us.
I believe that would be proper.
Well, he did tell us to, inform him when we're ready and able to take jobs, so...
Yeah, no use taking off without a destination. Just put us in orbit Absalom for now while we make a call.
Sure. Well, I figured out how to do that. Kuzon, you mind getting that benefactor of ours on the line?
I just turned on the pilot assistance features of the AI, and I'm like, yeah.
Don't worry.
You see that Aiden is struggling with the stick a little bit. Why do I feel this resistance? And he turns off the piloting aid and says, much better.
Are you sure you do not wish aid, sir?
Nah, that's fine. You seem to be slowing me down anyway. And by that I mean Aiden is literally flying very unsafe, and that's why the system was slowing him down.
I swear if I have to run this ship myself.
By the way, you feel like your pilot's chair lowers like by an inch. Slowly, but it's lowered by an inch for some reason. So, did any of you want to make that call?
I'll dial the information to ring it through. Is there? I guess there'd be like 2 science officer booths, because I also swap between being the engineer and being the science officer, depending on what I need to do.
Well, essentially, as it's described and what I've looked for in the errata and stuff, a magic officer can be anywhere on a ship, because all he really needs is a space to access.
Yeah, as long as I can magically enhance the ship itself or reach out for the other ships, I think I'm good wherever.
So I imagine like everybody has kind of like specialized stuff, like the gunnery station that's unoccupied, but has like all of these specialized equipment, the pilot, like the engineering / science officer spot, and then there's just kind of like a very modest corner of the ship where like there's a computer screen, there's a basic keyboard, and then like a chair.
And
because like Kuzon was like following the instructions, and he like Googled it. It was like, what?
And
What does that magic man do?
The question is, where do you hide your gaming
Thiveron
rig?
was really just posturing to make it look professional, but he knows that he can't really do anything with the comp.
Well, if you do,
I would have designed it to accommodate, like it has like a braille or whatever equivalent, like keyboard and everything. Like I think I knew about you, or at least he would have told me about you before putting you on.
most consoles would come with such abilities.
Yeah, or like text to speech or something like that.
Yes, I can give you text to speech.
Microsoft Sam can just read me what's on the console.
Well then, if you're contacting them, one moment.
I would have been impressed if you had prepared Discord or Skype sounds.
You can
You
hear what
lost
sounds like a phone.
communications? Like you lost.
Yeah, I've also I did have a sound for it, but it's in this hotpodge. Anyway,
Oh,
you-
okay.
as you call up, you do see. Well, it's not a video room, but you do see the number of the benefactor you called. You know, the basic information. You know, what connections you're going through and such. And on the other side, you hear a female voice. Yes, this is Edible, the assistant to the benefactor.
Captain
help you?
Prava calling in. I just wanted to contact the boss man and thank him for his help getting the ship together. It felt like the appropriate thing to do. We're in orbit around Absalom Station and ready to look for work.
Perfect. Then I already have your first task. The benefactor would like to meet with you.
Personally?
Yes, he meets with all potential crews. Officially, you haven't joined our employ until you accept.
Very well. Where would we go to meet him?
I'm sending you an asteroid location within the diaspora.
See, it's not so weird, Aiden.
I'll start creating a flight path, like, you know, figuring out where the other ships are traveling, kind of like an airport, and just making sure that I'm giving Aiden a very specific path to fly the ship to avoid any problems or breaching the rules.
Well, it's my understanding that ships are piloted out of combat by an automatic nav computer. So all you'd have to do is plot the flight path, and the ship follows it automatically until you take it into manual.
I feel like
Yes.
Aiden's the kind of guy, though, who would like to be a manual.
Well, since you're traveling from in-system, I would like you to roll me 1d6 plus 2.
Alright, the pilot should do that.
Okay, that's fair. 1d6 plus 2. 4.
4. One moment. I believe it's only going to take you... Damn it.
I think that's just the number of days.
Yeah. There you go. I was just making completely sure.
Yeah, I
This
think it's
actually works
1d6
out
plus
perfectly
2
for me.
days for in
So in other words,
in-system traveling without a drift end.
yeah. And then it loses the 2 for
Yeah.
like having a drift engine. So basically, you are currently driving... Oh, you set the nav computer and you set off towards your destination. It will take you about 4 days to arrive. That means 4 days of downtime. I hope you guys read the downtime rules.
I did not know.
I did.
I see.
I went through it, like I glanced it, but I didn't memorize it.
Yeah, I didn't memorize it
Familiar
either. I
with
just
it.
glanced through it.
Well, I posted it within the rules section, so you can quickly take a look if you want to do anything during those 4 days, quickly.
There is something that I'm hoping happened during those 4 days, and that's gather information.